Got it.
That scared the shit out of me.
That was loud.
Welcome, everybody, to the Monday edition of Live with Fast Eddie Fear. My name is Zach Grant, a.k.a. Kawaisenberg DFS, a.k.a. the Lord of Bean. Shout out producer Thomas giving the nicknames in the YouTube descriptions every day. Don't think I'm not seeing those, Tommy. I like them.
I appreciate that.
As always, by Superdraft Daily Fantasy. And I'm joined by my good friend, the man on the marquee, Fast Eddie Fear, with the, I assume, a fresh can of Monster in your hair?
Let me think. It's actually the same can of Monsters in my hair. We haven't made it to the shower in the interim. So, no, the same can of Monster. You can see right in the back here, there's a little extra, like it's
oh yeah.
Together. Like it's really not too bad. I'm not saying it's gonna be part of my everyday routine, but when I'm tired,
yeah,
you gotta turn that shit up.
Well, we got, obviously Monday we have the show Behind the Paywall preceding us. So David and Kyle doing a great job as always, going game by game and leaving us to our own devices here, able to bounce around as we tend to do. So I think we should start. The ranks are up. We've had a short bit of discussion, publicly slapping down Mike Harris Levert 9 rank, but we've had a discussion and let's do it publicly now. Let's start with the Pacers and Harris.
You made your point well. I do think that your argument is solid. I'm thinking maybe a 9 is reasonable. So you and I, so he has missed 2 games, ostensibly with a calf issue. Now the last game he clearly missed with a calf issue. The game previous to that was the back end of a back-to-back, and he hadn't left the previous game, as you pointed out, due to an injury. So there's some dispute, and he was not officially listed as injured for that. That was treated as more of a rest injury. So my theory and my original consternation was the fact that I just didn't know how many minutes he was going to get. The price is really significant. At 8,700, I think he's sitting at. And I have him right now for 30 minutes, which is not justifiable. And I went back this year where he's had, I think this is his 4th more than 1 game loss, might be his 3rd. But we looked at each of the games we returned from that, and I pointed out they tend to be a little cautious with him. Now, the last one was a blowout, 19-point loss where he could have come back and didn't played like 29 minutes. But if you look at his, so he missed the first 5 games of the season, came back and played 15, then 24, then 31. Then he missed 2 games with an injury, came back and played 25, then 31, then 31, played like 20 games in a row. Missed 5 with an injury, came back and played 29 in that game that they lost to the Celtics by 19, where he could have gotten some more time at the end. Then played 39 the next game. Then played the game against the Lakers less than a week ago. Did not play the next game against the Warriors on the back-to-back, a game that, by the way, they managed to pull out with basically no starters there somehow. It's a game Golden State has to be a little sore about.
Yeah.
Sat out the game the day before yesterday against Phoenix with a calf injury and is still questionable for this game. So I think your ranking is better than mine when I think about it, because if he plays and he starts and the news doesn't come out, let's say before the first and the only 7 p.m. Eastern game locks, then 9 is probably right in GPPs. At that point, we are extending the possibility of that he could play 33, 34, 35 minutes. Obviously, the team is bereft of 3 other starters. And in theory, there's a chance he can go out and put up 60, and the ownership wouldn't be much if that news isn't locked in by at least 7. And so I think your number is better than mine. It just assumes that he is in and starting. So I would defer sort of back to a 9 being okay. Any concern the Pacers are resting Karras to trade him? Trade deadline is February 10th.
By the way, that's a Rinpack alert right there.
That's a Rinpack alert, by the way. That's who had a nice score yesterday. Rinpack, way to go. I think it was the showdown. If I had 150 lineups, I would do that. I'm just saying. I read that on Twitter. That's apparently how that works. Is 9 Levert same as 9 run Forest run or a value component? I would have thought 9 Forest or run Forest run would have been at a 10.
He is at a 10 on DraftKings. We don't have FanDuel ranks on that sheet, Banker, but I would think, let me pull up the slate on FanDuel here. I would think he's at the 3,500 minimum tag over there. Shooting guard, Trent Forrest, 3,500. So without having spent probably the same amount of time on FanDuel, Eddie, how do you feel about Trent Forrest at minimum price over there?
Yeah, I think so. This is an interesting conversation to have. I think Trent Forrest for me would be behind Elijah Hughes. So there's all right. I think that the Jazz. All right. So one team from every game is on a back-to-back. 3 teams played last night. 1 team plays tomorrow. That being the Pellies. The Jazz obviously played last night. They are already definitely without 3 of their starters. They may additionally sit the 4th starter, the 5th starter, and someone else. Royce?
Yeah, Royce is cute.
I'm using it's well, whatever. It's Ingles, Royce, and
Bojan.
Ingles, Royce, and Bojan are maybe.
Yeah.
Conley, Gobert, and Donovan are definitely out.
Correct.
Okay, so this may turn into rest the whole team. Now, Forrest is ahead of most of the rest of the scrubs in the rotation in the event some or most of the team is active. But if the whole goddamn team is out, I think he ends up being less active than a couple other guys on this team. And we do have a reasonable use case for this from 2 or 3 weeks ago.
I believe.
The 7th. They went to Toronto. Some of the guys didn't even go, and they started. All those 6 guys we're talking about, all 6 of them were out. And in that game where all 6 of them were out, Eric Pascal took 21 shots. Jared Butler took 17 shots. Elijah Hughes took 15 shots. Trent Forrest took 6.
Yep.
Now, I don't know quite how much to depend there, and I don't have what I would consider an encyclopedic knowledge of the second team for the Jazz. So I don't know quite how evident that is of what that would look like if they played that game, setting those 6 guys aside 1,000 times. I suspect Forrest would not be that anemic, but it is really worth saying something. And those teams practice together. If you've played high school, college sports, anything, you have the first team, then you have the second team, and those guys know each other. You see it a lot in football where you see the second string quarterback come in, and then randomly there's a second string receiver or tight end who gets promoted, and those 2 guys hook up a ton because those guys have been playing catch for 4 months. And there's a sort of similar situation here, but the breaker for me is let's assume that that's not entirely instructive. I think the ownership is going to be overwhelmingly on Forrest.
Yeah, sure.
So for me, and again, we will talk about this. Yeah, we have Jared Allen who went midday sick, has not been seen yet. I don't think he will play. I think they will probably start. I'm going to think they move Mobley to the 5 and start Wade and Chetty Osman. Is what I think they do. I don't think they start Love. I've heard people talk about that. Can still play Kevin Love.
Yes.
Perfectly fine. It's actually a good matchup. The Knicks, while they play slow as hell in their defenses. So if you divide this year so far into like 2 segments, we'll say like up until Christmas and after Christmas. Until Christmas, I was like, Jesus, the Cavs defense is really good and the Knicks defense is really bad. And I didn't quite understand why either one was happening. And then after Christmas, the Knicks defense got better, and I was like, okay, that makes sense. They've played really good defense over the last month. And the Cavs defense is still good, and I still don't quite get it. Don't get me wrong, I understand a lot of the reasons the Cavs defense is better. It just doesn't seem like it should amalgamate into them being like a top 5 defense. Garland's improvement has been relevant. Okoro's defense is very good, and he is back today. They've ingrained a +1 system at the top of the key that really helps all those guys with all that length out there, like individually guys have achieved. Like I sort of get it. It still seems like they should be like middle of the road, but I'm going to try to figure it out. But my answer would be, and we can talk about this more later, is this first game is the most balls game. And there is obviously a lot of pending news on like Ayton is doubtful, but could randomly suit up. We assume Whiteside will start for the Jazz. I'm not 100% on that. There's also a chance we get some news on how much he'll play. Now, they pulled him off the injury report, but I think there is there's a number of ways this can go. And again, like they started him in the previously alluded Toronto scrub game. And he was pretty disappointing, frankly. He played 30 and a half minutes and had 7.7 rebounds and assists and 2 blocks. Just really disappointing when you're looking for Whiteside. I would project him for well more than that. If he does play and does get the start, depending on when we get that news, I do think he will be an excellent option to go to. So I feel like I was asked one question and ventured through about 5 games. So I think your question was, so about Karis LeVert, and I've now done an interpretive dance scene and used the entire rehearsal space to talk about every game. But I think you should put Karis LeVert back up to a 9 on the presumption. So
Nerlens getting the start.
I think I'm going to have Nerlens Noel for something like 29 minutes and 26 and a half fantasy points. I'm going to map this out a little bit. I'm not super thrilled with the matchup, but 29 is an average. I think they really will want his size in this spot, even without Allen. Still a fairly big Cavs team.
Any concern that he's only played the 1 game since, really 2 games since December 21st? No, he got 26 minutes yesterday, right?
He looked very good yesterday, and in all the games he's played, since Christmas, he's played 20-something minutes.
Yeah.
So I think when you get Mitch out of there, the floor is like they're giving him the start. Like there's foul trouble possibilities, although Allen being gone helps with that a lot. Like now you're like Mobley is not as much of an offensive force, doesn't come to the rim as often, so I'm a little less concerned with some sort of foul trouble for him. So I think my projection for him will be 28 or 29. Under 24 would be really weird. You definitely could get over 30. But I think it's cute. I almost don't want to do it because I think there's so much randomness that could happen now with in the later games with the various centers who you could play. And Nerlens is center only. And one of the guys to, again, just swap games and rotate all the fuck around at light speed, who I think I would have as a 10, who you do not, is Jonas Valanciunas.
Really? I've heard some other people around the industry talking him up really strongly today. And I think he's fine at 8-3, but tell me why so strong on Jonas Valanciunas?
Well, it's all right. So it's just about best possible matchup. So Brandon Ingram is out. Devontae Graham could be out. And the Pacers, especially on the interior, are fucking garbage now. Terrible. He's going to go to the free throw line infinitely because Goga is going to foul him over and over and over again. He hasn't played in 3 days. I had a number of, but Valanciunas, they play tomorrow. If you're looking for a reason not to like Jonas Valanciunas, that's it. But it's just a absolutely tremendous spot with a lot of usage to flow around because they're going to be using lots of, Herbie is going to be in there a lot. You have Josh Hart and Nickeil Alexander-Walker going to take some shots. J-Val for me, just when I project out all these guys, I'm much more excited about playing J-Val than LeVert, partially because of the uncertainty. But he's he's very close to. Let me go to my most recent projection. We'll go here. It's just going to get infinite rebounds. Is the 8 for Love not higher because we don't have confirmation on Allen? It's kind of a shit matchup. We don't know that he's going to get any extra minutes. He's played a little bit over his head the entire year as far as production. I have Jonas Valanciunas as the top scorer on the slate. Let's start with that. I have no one scoring more fantasy points than him tonight. I have him, and then he's $8,300. Just by raw points, the next 5 guys start with a 9. The next 6 guys start with a 9 in their salary. I have him scoring more points than Booker, DeRozan, Garland, Randall, Vooch, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I have him scoring more points than Karis LeVert.
Yeah, there's been 8 games without Brandon Ingram this year, and he's only exceeded 44 3/4 in 3 of those 8. So I don't think it's quite the windmill slam for me. That everybody else seems to and I may be the odd one out here if I'm the one that's kind of deviating from what everybody seems to know. And I also don't think I know that Goga is not exactly a defensive stalwart, but I also don't think he's as much of a pushover from a fantasy standpoint. I think the foul trouble is the issue there because then you get long and lanky Isaiah Jackson in there, and then you're really talking about pushing bodies around in terms of J-Val. But I feel like Goga can hold his own here.
I'm a big Goga guy.
I know. Yeah, I know you are.
I am a big Goga Batadze fan. And I think it's still fine to get there. I have him projected probably slightly better points per dollar than J-Val, very slightly. Actually, no, he's still probably slightly worse. But there's a ceiling there. They'll want his size. But he is not defensively good. It's the reason he doesn't play. Like, he's offensively really good. He's a great rebounder. He's in the Omer Yurtseven conversation. I remember, like, people are like, Omer is going to play over Bam. And it's like, he's not. He's a good fantasy player. Bam is better at literally every part of basketball. I like Goga Batadze a lot. He isn't where he's supposed to be. He makes mental mistakes. Like, he's a defensive liability when he's on the court still. So whether it's him or Jackson or Brissett or whoever they roll out at center,
Shea.
J-Val fixing to eat some people. Let me look on a couple other things. J-Val 45.75 DK and under in 5 of 8 games without BS. And 52.75 ceiling could certainly top that there. Yeah, I would probably have him as a 10. He is my top spend up. So I'm fine leaving him as a 9 if you want. We're talking about it on the show. But now I'm trying to figure out his sort of. I also don't think he's as owned as Booker. Depending on what goes on in the Chicago game, maybe DeRozan is going to engender some really significant ownership.
Speaking of DeRozan, I'm sitting here trying to make a Top Shot lineup tonight, Eddie, and my DeMar DeRozan legendary is nowhere to be found.
What happened to that?
I don't know. I don't know where it went.
I don't have it anymore. I sold it. I got it. It was worth like $1,500. I appreciate the loan. That shit's I got to get paid. I'm just saying. You still made out on me. So there's a really good NBA Top Shot drop tomorrow, and you need to have a collector score of about $25,000, of exactly $25,000 to get in the priority queue, which gives you a better chance of you getting 2 queues. You get in the better chance queue. Basically, you got about 10% chance in the second one, and about a 30% chance in the first one. And Zach here has a much more impressive Top Shot collection than I do. So my score was about $20K, and his score was about 35. And so he duped me. He traded me. By traded, I mean gave me like 20 moments to get me over that minimum. So I'm holding his DeMar DeRozan legendary number 97 of 99. I want to say.
Yeah, I think it's 3,500 or $4,000 in Top Shot moments.
Yeah, I was about to say you're feeling a little pressure. You're like, hey, he wouldn't, right?
I had to slide over the sign behind me because Joe says he needs transparency on the board. So 27 days now, Eddie, without talking while muted. Personal best each day we go here now. But
nice job. I'm gonna find a way to talk you into that. I don't know how to like D's nuts you to mute yourself. I'm gonna find a way.
I'm sure I will present the opportunity to you at some point. It'll just be up to you to take it.
There'll be a way.
Let's Josh, it would be a lot tougher for me to get you 25,000 knowing that you just started your Top Shot collection. 25,000 in collector's would be nearly my entire collection. So
yeah.
But we can talk down the road for sure.
Yeah, me too. Like I am investing more. I am a member of the 9 Lives Lounge now. He and I are and again, there can never be more than like 3,000 members. That's it. So that's close. It's like
and we got our access to the stress test that took 4 hours and only worked once out of 8 times or whatever.
I have many UFC moments now. Many UFC moments. If the UFC moments are valuable, I'll hook you up, Josh. I'll have a lender.
All right.
So let's
back.
Go.
Let's talk Cavaliers because this game is locking here in under 40 minutes now, and we did get the question.
Let's talk this first game.
We got the question about Kevin Love from Hugo, aka Brian34 equals Butt Munch. He was asking, is the 8 for Love not higher because we have not had confirmation yet on Jarrett Allen?
I top of my head in my 26 DK for Nerlens. I'm going to recompute the next and the Cavs now. I would like the Jarrett. I'm stalling for the Jarrett Allen news, so I don't have to do this whole thing twice. Because
sure.
My shit, I actually go through who's guarding who and what system and then this whole 9 things. So it's a little weird to do it without knowing if Jarrett Allen isn't. They have him for around 18 DK. I mean, to get him for 18 DK, you would need to say like even 24 minutes. you're being a little hazardous there. But if they had him for 24 minutes and 18, that's a little less production than I would expect, and that's definitely obviously fewer minutes than I expect. In a pretty big matchup here, I don't think they want to run the Obi Toppin center shit. But I will, as soon as we get, I'm just going to stall till we get Jared Allen news, or at least I'm going to stall till 6:30 or we get Jared Allen news, and then I will get into these numbers a little bit more. But let's talk about the game a little more. Let's discuss it.
Well, I can tell you this. It's not a game that I am really excited to tune into. Just looks like a brutally slow game on the surface. I don't believe the Knicks are projected for more than 99 is the implied live.
Yeah, it's 100 and 202 total, something like that.
Yeah, I see 203 right now with the Cavs 5-point home favorites here. So again,
right, but the others
the
are
lowest team totals.
The others are like 217, 217. I think the nightcap. Obviously, there's a lot to fuck up in the air with that one, but it's going to end up higher than either of those. I think the Suns actually play really, really fast, and the Jazz kids are going to play pretty goddamn fast too. So, yeah, it's by far the worst game environment. We agree there. What is our Kemba status? Because I have a pending Kemba.
He is in.
He is in. Yeah. Okay. Fuck the Knicks then. The Knicks are going to be Noel and nothing I like. I think. Give me a minute. All right. So I lied. I'll do the Knicks. Much like many a tri-state area girl who wants to make her parents angry. I'll do that.
T Panthers got the pre-board bet graphic there.
I love it.
Full health.
What is the count?
19 Eddie, 18 Zach, and 1 tie. Rashawn Holmes kept the edge for you, the 1-point edge there, with his 28 minutes after playing 4 in the first quarter of that game. I thought I was going to get the sweep, and then Rashawn Holmes said no. I guess it was Alvin Gentry said no.
I had that one. Well, at a certain point, it's just like he's so much. So it's just like, can he play it? Like they are not going to be working to get whatever the fuck their other 3 centers. Those being, of course, Alex Len. Tristan Thompson now out, Damian Jones, and of course, Persquisius McStuffins. None of those guys needed to get any real time. I'm kind of upset that Keita isn't making more time because I really feel like we could have made a meme out of that. How did the Utah value guys change in rank if starters hit? Would they all be 10s? Again, I wouldn't be overly concerned with that, and it depends who they are before I would say they would all be 10s, but probably.
Yes. For me, it would be Butler, Forrest, and Hughes.
Yeah, Butler, Forrest, Hughes. Honestly, Pascal too. What does Pascal cost now?
Sure, yeah, 3-3, and he's the only one of those 4 guys with multi-position eligibility.
So Pascal actually might be my favorite of them. I'm really gonna like Pascal because they're also at that point. I don't know. The last time they did the full sit everybody game, basically they had Whiteside and Udaka play all the center minutes. So if they started Hughes, Pascal, Forrest, Butler, Whiteside, or Udaka, yes, I would probably have them all at 10s. You could argue not Whiteside. Whiteside might have, he's off the injury report for conditioning, but they still may want to only run him 25 minutes and not 30, especially if they might get blown out. All the kids are going to play anyway. They want to give moments to Udaka and Norvel Pell if he's still there. And after the last game, Quinn Snyder came out and said, I'm not worried without, he specifically said, I'm not worried without Rudy. We have 3 backup centers we like in.
Pell's gone, by the way. And Jarrett Allen is out. Rajon Rondo is in.
Okay. There you go. He came out after the last guy. Pell is gone. What happened to him? They just didn't renew?
I think they didn't renew, and now he's back with your boys.
Ed Davis. Okay, I didn't get that right. I figured I would have been shocked if Love started because they want Love to back up the 4 and the 5. Like you can put Chetty Osman in there backing up no, this is good for Love. It's probably nominal for Love for me. Your chance of randomly getting up to 29. You might still get 28, 29 minutes Kevin Love. It's pretty unlikely now, but they were doing that for a little while, and then he descended back into 21, 22 when people got healthy. Hey, it's a nice jersey.
Yeah.
Nice jersey. It's looking good. Ed Davis to the moon. I mean, he's going to have 6 points and 11 rebounds in 27 minutes. And It's Ed Davis. Like it's.
Yeah.
I'll rank him. So okay, so I can now re-rank everybody and figure out the way this is going to work. Blonde hair, Max. How did this happen? I'll tell you the answer. Zach Graham has blonde hair.
Never been to Milwaukee though.
Yeah, bitches travel.
That's
what I got. Okay. Let's project some teams. Now that I've got my coffee, I'm ready to watch Radar. All right, Rondo.
Pat Connaughton still lives in Milwaukee. Sorry.
Well, oh my God, there you go. I think he's such a Bucks fan. He'd be all right with that. What's the fucking one where? What's the movie where? Is it? Oh, it's Semi-Pro.
Yeah, one of my favorites.
Yeah, where the one chick is, where the one guy likes the basketball team so much, the Flint Tropics, that like one of them is banging his wife, and he's like, "Oh, this is awesome."
Yeah.
Yeah. No, thanks for the setup. So Rondo being in is very relevant for Darius Garland. A lot like Gobert. The presence of a preferred backup has a lot to do with the minutes they run him out there. If you went out and spent a lot of time on Darius Garland. So like Darius Garland's minutes projection for me probably just went from 37.5 to 36. Like it is a relevant difference. It would be down by a minute and a half, something like that. So, Garland's gonna get worse for me in what's not an ideal matchup. Obviously can certainly get there. These teams did play once before this year. Rubio is good, and that was it. I'm pretty sure. Someone can look it up. Rubio had 60 whatever the hell. I remember it was one of the two Rubio days.
One of your Rubio games?
Yeah, it was one of the two Rubio games. And I don't even remember my rationale at the time. Like I went back, and I don't even remember. I was like, Rubio in this spot, and I can't. Like I just thought that like the Knicks would sell out a ton. On Garland and whatever, and the interior was strong enough. I was like, you know what? But I think Rubio can maybe. I don't remember what the logic was, but it worked out at the time. But Rubio's gone. Markkanen missed both the games. Okoro didn't play that game, which is obviously part of the math there. So he's back here. All right, so let me do some Knicks and some Cavs with Jared Allen out, Rondo in. Okay. All right, who do we like? I'm going to like Mobley a lot, I'm letting you know. I'm going to like Mobley. I'm going to find Rondo playable. I got Garland out there. His power forward, whatever there. Although they're starting at Davis, so I'm going to like him less than I thought I would. The hell do I project at Davis for?
See, would you be against Hart and Valanciunas together? I'm not at all. I'm fine with that pairing. Honestly, I think I would be fine with 3 Pels. Like you could Valanciunas, Hart, and Herb, or you could Valanciunas, Hart, and maybe one of the guys we haven't talked about yet, and Alexander Walker. Especially if Devontae Graham sits.
Pills rank really well. So Ed Davis has started 2 games this year. And apparently I undersold. Although I did say in one game that did I say he would have 6 points and 11 rebounds? Is that exactly what I said?
Yeah, that's
in the game against Brooklyn, 17th. He started and had 6 points and 11 rebounds.
Yep.
That's particularly amusing for me. Also had a steal and a block, however, getting up to 23.75 DK points in his other start against the Golden State Warriors.
The next night?
The next night. He played 28 minutes, had 7 points and 14 rebounds. 2 blocks and an assist. Interesting. Well, goddamn it.
I was going to say more recently, you saw 19 minutes, and more recently being over a month ago, December 15th, played 19 minutes in a blowout of the Rockets. Only 11 3/4 DK points. So,
yeah. He's going to project for slightly less than a fantasy point a minute in this spot, and so it's going to come into a minutes thing. But he's the absolute fucking floor. So that's something we have to take into account here. And then the usage. So Allen is gone. They started Wade at the 3, right? They went Wade.
Yeah.
Allen.
Yeah. Okoro, Wade, Mobley, Davis.
That usage moves around. Someone just said my name. Yes, Anthony, that is my name. And J-Frick would like you to check his DMs.
I think I can do that. I think Anthony was saying that Oh, that you 100% said 6 points, 11 rebounds. Devontae Graham is in for the Pelicans.
That's a shame. That kind of screws everything up. Makes J-Val a little worse. Doesn't completely take Jose Alvarado out of play. He's the best point guard on this team. At some point, they will give him the love and the time he deserves. He's been getting a little bit more of it. And you can still play him in GPPs at 3-6 with Graham not 100%. But he's not going to make it in there now over just holding more money for whoever the fuck is playing for Utah. Okay, one game at a time. Let's start with the one that starts in a half hour. Board bet on Jonas Valanciunas. You want a piece of this?
And what's the board bet?
I'll take over 45. I'll take over 45 DK.
Yeah, he's averaging more than 45, I think.
Like,
well,
I don't think he's averaging 45 DK this year.
No. I mean with Brandon Ingram out.
Go ahead and look.
Let's see.
Thunder will start Shea, Dort, Giddey, Wiggins, I expected, and JRE getting the start of the 5. Okay. Interesting. A little more information. I'd rather know who the hell is going to play for Chicago as far as Levine and Green and Vooch and that whole 9 yards. But they did all travel. So they're in OKC.
Thunder will start SGA, Dort, Giddey, Wiggins, and JRE.
You don't say.
Karis LeVert in. Early.
That's very early. So that's the thing. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, this is getting interesting.
Yeah, we'll wait for a potential minutes limit update here.
Yeah. This is interesting. A lot going on. All right. So we're going to start by, let's narrow this down. Who do we want to play in the first game? Clarkson there. I do have Cam Johnson popping pretty well, and it appears everyone is going to play him. So that's the thing. Graham in. He can play Dean Wade. He's going to play like high 20s, low 30s in minutes. Dude's going to get some time. Okay. Hakeem, Rico, Rondo in, Ed Davis. So how many minutes do I think Ed Davis plays? Still Lamar Stevens there. Love will play most of his time at the 5. Still a bit of a mess. All right, Barrett, Noel, Randall, then Taj in quickly, and Fournier and Grimes. 1 for 10. Let's say Kemba for 25, I think is what I pulled. Yeah. They were having fun because I literally said to you, the Thunder will start.
Oh, you read the...
I literally said, so the Thunder are going to start Shea and Dort and Giddey and Wiggins and JRE at center. Interesting. That's more useful information. And then like 5 seconds later, you were like, the Thunder will start. And it was just, which I responded with, you don't say. So
yeah, busted. Never listening to you when we're on the stream, I don't think.
Most of the people listening to the stream aren't. They're just looking. Most of them are just looking at my hair and, engaging in self-abuse. I don't know. Okay. So Cleveland or New York? Pick a team.
Cleveland. Shout out Adam Pfeiffer.
All right. I have 6 plays that I think are reasonable. 7 plays that I think are reasonable on this team at all. I think the 7 players you can play on Cleveland are Dean Wade, Kevin Love, Isaac Okoro, Darius Garland, Chetty Osman, Evan Mobley, and Ed Davis. Those are the only ones I would have in my pool. I do not think I'm going to get to Rondo. I really just don't think there's a need to get that cute tonight. I think, he's been questionable for a week. I really don't think they give him more than 12, 14, 15 minutes. I think you're asking a lot at a valuable point guard position. I don't think I would have any. If you wanted an 8th, that would be it. I'm I'm gonna do one more thing because I'm getting two different Ed Davis numbers and they're coming in closer to. Sorry, marking him being out is giving me a thing. It really matters. If I think he's going to play 24 minutes, I'm going to have to like Ed Davis.
Yeah, at min price, especially with all the other options that people are going to be on at center. I mean,
Bojan is questionable.
Yes.
Pascal or Temple is save money is the answer, by the way. It's Pascal, it's Temple or wait an hour, and the answer is wait an hour.
Yeah.
Probably. Like if we have Jazz Nude previous to that and Royce and Ingles and Bojan all play,
yeah, then it's different.
Maybe you can consider playing Temple at that point. He's going to probably start. I don't think we know that yet. He's probably going to get 30 minutes. Minutes won't likely be the same, but is Osman a good pivot from Cam Johnson? He's a pivot from Cam Johnson. Cam Johnson is going to be maybe the highest owned player on the slate, depending on when various pieces of news break.
Sure.
So, yeah, I have no issue with Allen out and them playing weird guys in positions like this, playing Cedi Osman instead.
If you don't have Goga, give me Isaiah Jackson there.
Over
Cedi.
Interesting.
In a tournament for sure. I mean, if you get Goga foul trouble all game, you could get mid-20s for Isaiah Jackson, forward eligible.
Yeah, it's also 3,900. You're saving a little money on Cedi, aren't you? Isn't he cheaper? The other two guys are both 39. Cedi is well cheaper.
He's 3-3.
Yeah, that math's in there. The other two are both 39. But you can get to a low-owned Cedi Osman here. Okay, sorry. I was in the middle of doing my Cavs, and then I'm trying to... Okay. Oh, there. No marketing. Just looking at the various games he's played and how he's interacted with, and then I'm looking for coaches' comments on Ed Davis. And
it's a good question from Jay Wynn. Herb Jones or Kevin Love now? I like Herbie a lot, but obviously the minutes upside is there for Kevin Love with Allen and Laurie out.
Yeah.
And he really doesn't need that many minutes to get on top of that.
For reference, Ed Davis has started 2 games this year. Both Allen and Laurie were out, both of them. Kevin Love played 21 and 22 minutes in those games. Just since I happen to be extrapolating that information for a related purpose, I figured that'd be something useful to point out.
Joe is asking, have we discussed playing Goga and Joval together? He says he's leaning against him, but not sold on setting a rule.
I wouldn't set a rule. There's no reason to set a rule. Like Goga and Joval being the 2 highest scoring centers, they may be my highest 2 projected centers. Like they're very close to it. So like, I don't think I would set that rule. They're both guys who are going to have a big role in the offense.
I have no issue with pairing those 2. Obviously, we've talked about the foul concerns with Goga, but I'm not.
Rosen or Shea. Yeah, I have them very close. I like them both for various different reasons. Let's settle this first game. Okay. Sure. I am going to project Ed Davis.
Oh, boy. This is what I was just about to ask, and we get the news. Zach Levine is in. Javonte Green is in.
Okay. So that actually makes your life easier as far as, with Zach Levine. I thought they were going to play. They both traveled, so like that doesn't change anything for me. I had Zach Levine in and Javonte Green, and I have Nikola Vucevic in as well. That's still also pending from his knee turn.
Who's pending?
Vooch.
Yeah, he is still questionable, I believe.
Right.
Javonte Green limited to 22 to 25.
I had him for 22, so that doesn't change anything. I had Zach Levine for only 32 because of them easing him back a little bit. Again, he wasn't COVID. He's on a knee strain. But at this point, no one on Chicago looks great for me. DeRozan is still the best ranked player. You can absolutely still get there. I have him as a little better than LeVert as an example still, but everyone else on this team is sort of a negative value for me. Certainly you can play Zach Levine or Vooch or Kobe White, who's still going to get real time. with Caruso getting injured. Ayo Dosunmu is still going to play 32 to 34 minutes, I think. Yeah, Levine will be on. So you don't really want to play Levine. 8-4 is enticing, but for 29 minutes of Zach Levine or 27 or whatever it is. Forrest or Temple, again, your answer is the money, not Temple. Unless lots of Utah guys are in and it's announced before New Orleans starts. I believe the answer to that question. For me, I don't want to speak for you. Okay, so Vooch goes. Okay, so that's going to go there. All right, so Ed Davis. Man, getting tricky now. A lot of moving pieces. Hard to know how they're going to do this. All right. I have Ed Davis for 24 minutes and 18 3/4 fantasy points. There are a number of ways that this goes a little bit smaller with Taj getting in there. I would be surprised if he played less than 20. I would be surprised if he played 30. I think 24, 25 is the correct minutes projection for Ed Davis, even that is under what he averaged. I'm fine with it. I don't have a ringing endorsement for him. 20% of people are going to get there. That's about right. For the rest of the team, I have no one who jumps off the page screaming, play me. I would probably, based on the more tricky position, I would probably rather play Dean Wade than Ed Davis. Everyone's going to look at Ed Davis. I'm aware Dean Wade is garbage, but he's going to play 30 minutes of garbage, and that makes him project for almost exactly the same fantasy points as Ed Davis at a harder to fill position. So even at like, what are you going to get? 0.6 fantasy points a minute? That's 18. That's not that far from what I have Ed Davis for. So I would probably rather play Dean Wade at 4% ownership than Ed Davis at teens. Minutes limit is more than 25, but less than his usual workload. Yeah, I feel like I had that one about on the road, 28, 29, 30 again. He's coming back.
Sorry, I know you just said that. I was going to say, Cam was asking, what do we do if Vucevic sits now? Because he is still questionable. We don't have that news.
You windmill slam Tony Bradley, who will start.
Okay. How about Tyler Cook?
DeMar DeRozan out for rest. Okay. We can't go super late today. Not that I would have gotten the full 2 hours, but Zach has someplace he has to be. Mm-hmm. So we were doing a lot of this in here. Okay, so DeRozan out. Couple things. We are 15 minutes before lock, though that game is an hour and 15, but you will get
game decision. Sorry.
Jesus Christ, they're making a party there. It's against OKC too, so this makes everyone in this game better. All right, so with everything going on here, I am not super inclined to get towards a lot of guys in the Knicks and Cleveland. I will say again for the record that I do think increase the exposure, put in the monies. Like that's not the wrong theory. This is all a little bit early. Like increase the exposure, put in the monies is when it's 6:55 on a 7 p.m. lock in a 7 p.m. game. And they go, we'll rest Levine, and he's supposed to start in 5 minutes, and he's going to be 25% owned. Then you just shove because you went from 90 cents on the dollar EV to $1.35, and you need to get more money on the fucking table. I'm just trying to figure out exactly how these. I'll give up in a minute because I'm just narrowing out minutes here. So you're saying a lot of people in the industry have Noel at 18 points. I will take a bet from. I assume Noel will start. I don't believe we've seen that yet.
We have not, but just available to play.
Yeah, but he's. I imagine he's going to start. So I'll go with the two situations here. If Nerlens Noel starts, I'm going to have him projected for, I believe, something to the order of 27 minutes and 22.5 fantasy points. That's fine for 4,200. He's not going to be very much owned at all with all the other value that comes up and him locking early and the center value and Ed Davis and all those other various things. Taj Gibson right now ranks slightly better for me at his 21 minutes and 15 fantasy points. Neither of them are priorities. No one on the Knicks really looks good at all. You can play RJ Barrett. Do not game log watch if you play RJ Barrett. Yeah. I don't want to tell you what happened the last time he played the Cavs, but it didn't involve getting to double digits. And he didn't get hurt or anything. It was just bad. But this is obviously a very different RJ Barrett. They have certainly been dialing up his number. His usage is appropriately up. I don't really give a shit about a 1-game sample size from a couple months ago. So RJ Barrett at 7,600. My issue is I don't think he's that low owned. He's small forward eligible, and I think people really get there. And I would rather save my money for any of the shit that's coming along here. I don't like the spot for Randall. Again, having Allen out does increase it a little bit. His projection for me moved from about 41 to 42 and a quarter fantasy points based on how small this is going. But that's not enough at $9,700 to get him really remotely in play. So I think my answer here is you probably don't play a Nick. If you're looking to splash some Nicks in your 10 or 20 lineups for GPPs, I think Taj, Noel, I'm assuming Noel starts. If Taj starts, depending on the time, like if we get Taj starting in 5 minutes, 7 minutes before lock, I think you play Taj over Ed Davis, even though he's going to project worse for me. Because of the ownership disparity there. If you're looking to splash, you would splash Barrett, Noel, Randall, Taj, I guess. I don't have a ton else to say on this first game. I will say I do think people are low on Noel and low on Davis. I've seen projections of, I'm looking at a Davis on another site that says 18 minutes and 13 fantasy points. That is too low. I am looking at a Noel on another site that says 24 minutes and 18 fantasy points. We mentioned some 18s. That to me is too low. I would take side bets of Nerlens Noel, certainly if he's starting, and I do think he does in this matchup, exceeding the 18 fantasy point, but 4,200 does not make that any sweet deal. Do we lock Vooch? It's interesting. I mean, he's looked bad, and he's got a knee issue, and like there's any number of ways this goes sideways. Like, close your eyes. Does this sound possible? They're playing OKC, which is a horrible fucking team. So they're just going to give DeRozan some rest. They're going to take it kind of easy on Zach Levine. He's going to play 28 minutes. And Vooch, who's got a bad knee, they're going to go out there and try and make sure they secure a win that they want to get. But they're going to rely a lot on, like, this news makes me want to play Kobe White. This fucking $7,000. But dude may take some fucking shots. Like, you are going to see...
You can get him for 5-7 on FanDuel.
Yeah, that's right. But you want to play Kobe White. Troy Brown Jr. is going to start and be nuts. Ayo Dosunmu, yeah. No one's going to want to go there for fucking 6,500. But
he was back on his bullshit the last couple games.
I think you are going to look at you may get another rest game. This may be just a bizarre slate where everyone rests and people complain. Where honestly, this is pretty easy. They may start Kobe, Dosunmu, Brown, Matt Thomas, and Tony Bradley or Tyler Cook. Go. Like, that would not shock me whatsoever if that's the starting fives. So there's even more reason to lay off the Ed Davises of the world. So I think your best lock lineup here is probably locking nobody. If so, it's a Cav. And you get to the lower owned value, which is going to be great on Utah and Chicago. And then you run out your studs at this point, which, you can talk about this for a while, but Booker, Shea. You play value and you play Booker, Shea. You have to be careful with Phoenix now, with like Booker and Chris Paul, because they should handle them pretty easily if it's the kid squad. Now, we don't know that. Again, we had the Indiana kid squad randomly take a game from the Warriors.
Yeah. Well, I think it helps Booker and CP that they're also shorthanded.
Someone said Levine has to get 30 minutes. Absolutely not. I have him for 29. So I would, gun to my head, I would take under 30 minutes right now.
I mean, they've got guys in the backcourt. They have Kobe and Dosunmu. They've got guys on the wing. Troy Brown, Matt Thomas.
They'll play Dosunmu 44 minutes. Like they absolutely do not have to give him anything remotely like that. But honestly, if I was playing on DK tonight, right now, I would deselect that game, pick a placeholder with guys I think are going to play, and then look again in an hour. Because you're going to get a Chicago lineup that is not going to be owned enough, and you're going to get a Utah lineup that is not going to be owned enough. So you hope one of those teams go to the full rest. This sounds crazy, but like the person who said Levine has to get 30 minutes, Levine is not out of play. I will go with a projection before we get out of air. But in 30 minutes, I'm going to project Zach Levine for 44 or something. He's going to have a fucking number now. Like, it's really hard to math this out, but I can get his usage from when he's not on the court with, like, his time without DeRozan and Vooch is going to be productive. So
he only plays 33.5 on the year.
Yeah. Fair number of blowouts, though. They've actually been whooping some people to the extent that it actually affects that time a little. But, yeah.
Brock wants to know if he's crazy for going Mobley, Garland, and Booker in a lineup. I don't think so at all.
I don't know what Booker has to do with it.
I think maybe just all those guys kind of expensive in the context of the full slate on DraftKings.
There are going to be 10 players tonight who cost less than 3,500 and score 30 fantasy points or more. So no, it is not strange to have 3, 8, or 9K players in the slate whatsoever. Without Mobley moving to center, though, that makes him a lot less appealing for me, which is a shame. Herbie.
Yeah, Levine. Yeah, Levine could pop off in 28 minutes, give or take. Yeah, sure. Especially with DeMar out, and if you have Alonzo and Vooch out.
Yeah, and keep in mind, like, everything is always relative. Okay, so like if Levine gets you, I don't know, 39, that might be enough
on this slate. Yeah,
like Sabonis is out, Vooch is not going to play full minutes, almost certainly if he even plays. Booker and CP3 may beat the shit out of a resting kid Utah team. DeRozan isn't playing. Gobert is out. Donovan Mitchell's out. Zion's out. LeVert is in apparently, which we should come back to, and that's a conversation. Like he looks better now. More guys are going out. It's more stars and scrubsy. So like 40 fantasy points out of those guys might be good. Like you got to spend the money somewhere. Like looking at the entire slate, top down. Like here are your players: Sabonis out, Vooch questionable, Gobert out, Zion out, Jonas, who I love for previous reasons as much as I did before, Ayton doubtful. Sorry, I got the center there, but you got my point. Like there's just not that many spend up options. Shea looks really good now. There's a much better chance this game stays competitive. So don't forget to like focus up on like just this game in general is now very possibly being incredibly competitive. Who did OKC start at the 4? They put Wiggins back. They put Basley back to the bench, right?
Mm-hmm.
Trey Murphy to help. Well,
he's in the G League though, so I don't know why they would really report that.
We're talking about the guy in the Pellies, right? I'm not confused.
Mm-hmm. Okay. He was listed on assignment today.
Oh, they. Oh, that's right. Yeah, they.
For reference, in 103-minute sample this year with no Caruso, DeMar, or Lonzo on the court, Zach Levine 39.2% usage.
Right, and probably 1 point. Like I top of my headed 28 minutes or 29 minutes and 44 fantasy points. It's giving him basically a fantasy point and a half a minute. I would not be shocked if that's about the number. So.
Let's see, about 5 minutes here till main slate lock. Swervo was asking if we could talk about the Suns centers for a minute. DeAndre Ayton obviously listed doubtful. I think both of us expect him to continue to sit out tonight. Obviously, Biyombo has kind of trolled everybody over the last couple weeks.
I really didn't think I was going to have been under on Biyombo. I was really excited about being over the rest of the universe on Biyombo.
Yeah,
but I tried to pull back the throttle after a couple of games.
Yeah, now 51 and a quarter in his last game and more expensive than JaVale. I think the thing that I was maybe not struggling with, but debating was how much time Jalen Smith would get with those guys out tonight. I think Jalen Smith could play some 4 here.
I think he could play some 5 here. See, after cautioning everyone, don't fuck up and do the Jalen Smith thing the wrong way for the last week. And I feel like I was generally vindicated on that being the right thing, and him he barely played in the last game in the Spurs game. He barely set foot on the court, right?
I think 2 minutes in garbage time.
Yeah, that sounds right. So, now this game very possibly devolves into. By the way, the answer for LeVert or Levine on DK right now is wait. Make sure they're in spots where you have the ability to pick one.
Also, did we get a Knicks starting lineup and I missed it?
Not to my knowledge.
Yeah, the game starts in 3 minutes. So if anybody has seen that, let us know. But I have not seen that come through.
Getting into it. News tank enabled. I don't care about Trent Williams. Get your foosball out of my round ball chat.
I mean, if we don't get Nerlens confirmed starting here in the next minute and a half.
Yes, I would have Nerlens right now as if we like Since we haven't heard he's starting yet and available is honestly a little dissuading. Like if you find out he's starting, he's going to be 1% owned now. Ed Davis or no is fine. Mm-hmm. I generally would not play Ed Davis in one lineup right now. I have no issue if you do.
Almost word for word, I said perfectly fine to roster.
Yep. Favorite Nick, if there is one. The starting center. Yeah, you saw that quote.
I guess, and if Taj got it, you could go him at power forward for min price. Would you rather Taj if he got the start at forward or at Davis?
Taj for ownership.
Mm-hmm.
Two minutes, huh? Take your time, Nix. I really don't have it. MSG guy. No, I'm going individually by touts. I know now. No.
Yeah, go ahead.
No. New York Post. No. Daily News. No. Journal guy.
Under 2 minutes now would be real nice. Knicks. 6K for McCall Bridges too expensive with Crowder and Payne out.
No, it's not too expensive.
Yeah. He's still not somebody who I'm.
Yeah, he's not a priority for me. I have McCall Bridges at 35 minutes and 26 fantasy points.
Yeah.
He is in play. Is it too expensive to me would mean is he out of play? He's not out of play. Very low owned. He's going to be playing against a lot of kids. You know what kids do? They turn the ball over a lot. You know who's good when the other team turns the ball over a lot? Guys who gets lots of steals and blocks like McCall Bridges. Like the components are there for him to have a huge game. That's not likely, but he would not be out of play for me with the pending knowledge we have at this time. I thought Trey Murphy
will start. Nerlens will start.
See, there it is. Yeah. So
is that really that was an hour ago?
I mean, I saw that quote, but I didn't take that as.
I mean, it's still odd that we don't have the 5.
Right, but that's a fair point. He said that, and that's the Post guy, right? I went to the other Post guy. They have 2 or 3. Yeah, I don't know how I. Oh, okay.
Apparently, it was posted 69 times, and
yeah, nice. We'll assume he will start. I do think that was the most likely scenario, but I've been playing it all along, but it's a little weird.
We are not going to get that starting lineup because we are at lock. Appreciate that, Knicks. Pulling up some ownership here. As I do,
it will be nominal.
As I do, I will encourage those of you catching us for free on the YouTubes or the Twitters.
That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine if you catch us for free. Freeloader. You're a Brian, 34. Wow. Walker, Fournier, Barrett, Randall, Noel. There is the Knicks lineup. And I can promise you that the service here at FTN Daily better than the Knicks service in getting us their starting lineup. If you come sub for the first month, it's $49.99 for the NBA package, but you can use that promo code that's scrolling right below our beautiful noggins here. It's all one word, FTN TV, and that's going to get you 15% off your first month here. Get access to the optimizer that has late swap capability now. You're going to get Kyle Murray's proprietary player and ownership projections. You'll get access to all the tools, the more standard ones, and then some of the unique ones here at FTN, like the game environment tool. Shout out to Alex, the advanced DVP tool. Shout out to Stefano taking a nice nap on the couch. Get access to the premium Discord channel here, which is where we are answering all the questions during this stream. Can't ask the question. I mean, you can ask the questions on YouTube or Twitter. We're just not going to see them. Got to get in that premium Discord. You also get access to Eddie and mine's ranks. All that stuff every slate, every day here. Again, FTN TV, that promo code, all one word, gets you 15% off that first month. And if you stay with us past the first month, that 15% discount will be applied every month through the end of the NBA Finals. So when you do come sign up, get in that Discord, tag Eddie, tag myself. let us know that you're here because we would love to have you. Eddie, trying to pull up the ownership here now.
Let me know when it loads. I have retreated from the computer. I'm prepared to postulate, to ponder, to perhaps prevaricate on the nature of the ownership.
Alrighty, this is from the 400K, 100K to first fadeaway on DraftKings.
Nice prize pool for this fucking thing.
Yeah. Cavs and Knicks. Who's the highest owned?
Kevin Love.
Kevin Love, number 1.
Yeah. He was 5,500. That's fine. Now, I suspect I have him for lower than other people's projections, and I only have him for 22 minutes, which, again, is more than he played in either of the other 2 games this year where Jared Allen was out and Ed Davis started at center. So I boosted it a little, but I think people exaggerated it. And at that price, I think people are going to be pretty – and power forward center. So anyway, Kevin Love, 32.
36 for Kevin Love. Got up there.
That's fine. I mean, his project's fine, but 36 is a lot. And there's so much coming out. Like, I really value saving money with everything up in the fucking air. Like, how many teams are there? 6 teams left. I have serious questions about 3 of them still.
Yep.
So now
and one in each game. So
yeah, exactly. So just so let's know. You're either going to get Davis or Garland or Mobley. I don't think enough people go crazy on like Barrett, which will be up in there too. So I'll say Mobley.
Mobley, number 2.
Yeah. Didn't get the start at center where I would have been a much, much bigger fan. Now he won't get a ton of center time. 20.
Yeah, 23.5 for Mobley.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, no real comment there. I will try Ed Davis.
Ed Davis, number 8.
Number 8.
Number 8.
That's gotta be really low too. That's gotta be single digits then.
It is.
I missed that badly then. I really thought that people would be like, oh, starting 3K. There's not a ton of center options I want outside of. Now, it'll be interesting. Like, I really would certainly rather say Tony Bradley in the event that, but
Vooch is out.
Garland? Vooch is out?
No, I'm saying I was just finishing.
Oh, yeah. Of course, if Vooch is out.
Yeah.
Although, even if Vooch plays, that's you could still argue at this point. I would, but like if Ed Davis is like 8% or something, I'm gonna really like that.
Yeah, try 5.5.
5.5.
5.5.
I really misread that. Like, I honestly thought he would be high teens to 20. I think is what I said. That's really where I thought.
Would you rather Ed Davis 5.5 or Nerlens Noel 2.3?
I'd rather Nerlens. There's enough money to spend too. Like, the $1,200 is worth less than you might think. Like, and that's before other studs possibly going out. But anyhow, I would rather have Nerlens at 2.5. So Garland then.
Yeah, Garland 3.
Okay. Go ahead and read it out. There's Barrett coming up is probably next, and then it's going to be a mess.
Yeah, Garland 19.5, Barrett 4th at 11, then Okoro 10.5, Julius Randle 9, Chetty 6.5, then we're at Ed Davis, Dean Wade at 5, Fournier at 4, Quickly 2.5, and followed by the 2.3, Nerlens Noel, Kemba 1.4, Rondo 1.4, then we're all sub 1% here.
Okay. So
0.16% of people played themselves with Jared Allen, so we appreciate them.
Wow. Are NAW and Temple still even in play, or should I hard limit my exposure to them? Why would they not be in play?
I think maybe just Mallard was waiting on the Devontae Graham news. Now that Devontae Graham is in, thinking they might be out of play, but I would still.
They're still reasonable.
Yeah.
I still am much more excited about Chicago news, which apparently is going to come kind of late, and Utah news, which also may come late. So it depends. If we get Chicago news in 10 minutes, 45 minutes before that game, yeah, they're probably fine. If we get Utah news, more than 45 minutes before that game, sure. Otherwise, I'm going to have fun running like Utah guys in there. So you mentioned you have to go in like 10 minutes. Are you away from PC?
I will be for about an hour.
Okay, so back probably for the Utah game.
Yes.
Okay, I want to make sure we're covered by one of us for the evening. So I have to step away for a little bit, but I will be back from, let's say, 7:45 Eastern to 8.
Sure.
To handle all that, pun intended, to handle all that jazz.
Oh, very nice.
Would you prefer Duarte or Bridges FanDuel GPP? That's interesting. I'm gonna have him ranked pretty close. Like Bridges is gonna be lower owned, and FanDuel scoring is really nice for him. Mm-hmm.
You said Bridges.
I like Bridges or Duarte. I consider fairly close. I'm a big McCall Bridges fan. Obviously, like I don't know exactly how it'll affect. Like Cam Johnson is everyone's favorite guy. Cam Johnson is apparently going to be 65% owned. Mm-hmm. That's too much. I like Cam Johnson just plenty. He ranks just fine. I have Cam Johnson as one of my top few plays on the board. I think I've right now got him at $3,900 for. Let's see, got there Phoenix with that. I've got 32 minutes and 25.5 fantasy points. That's perfectly good. I want absolutely none of it on even like 50% ownership.
Mm-hmm.
There are already several good value plays. There are apparently going to be somewhere between 2 and 7 more. I do not want the 50% owned one. Full stop. Like I'm a Cam Johnson guy. I've mentioned in the last several shows. Mm-hmm. Don't think this would necessarily be the place to go there. Let's get Bismack or McGee. You said JaVale. Yeah. I mean, there is a lot to look at here. I have gone back and watched those games. Like Monty has spoken extremely well of Bismack. He talked about how well his synergy playing with CP3 is. Now CP3 makes Biyombo a much better player, and talked about how much Biyombo learned from Steve Clifford in this. Like there was he spoke well of him. I guess is my point with Monty. So
sure. I would also point out that JaVale lost something to the effect of 10, 11 minutes to foul trouble last game.
Mm-hmm. That's what there's a gif of like some thigh stroking.
Yeah, I think you saying whoever said that I was going to go get a massage, catching on in chat there. So I wish I was going to get a massage right now.
I wish your legs looked like that. Yeah.
That would be nice.
A little tat on the back there, smooth.
Hey, you don't know. You've never seen my legs.
You could eat pudding off those legs.
Swervo says he's in class. So in class listening to us? I like it. It's dedication.
Well done. Yeah, that's a good job. You're learning.
I remember the days. Of grad school listening to Eddie. I think that was
really.
Jesus, yeah. I mean, that was like Roto Grinders Eddie days though.
Back in the day, the first of my 4 stops.
Mm-hmm.
We should give a prize for the first person in chat who can write the 4 places I have hosted DFS content in order chronologically. Go.
Oh, me?
Oh, no, not you. Shut up.
Okay.
Damn, not you.
I'm laughing at the Katheisenberg.
People in chat, let's go. Boom, 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 boom. Katheisenberg. Yeah, that's pretty good. Let's go. 4 sites. I'm not gonna lie. The first one was clearly Roto Grinders, and the fourth one was there. It is.
There you go, Doug.
Boom. Nailed it. Doug Dubs got on. That was a contest. A couple of people got there. Fonzie, nice avatar. Little Henry Winkler in my life. Katheisenberg. That's well done.
You okay would you pair Duarte and Levert, or is that something you would stray away from tonight?
I'm fine with it. That's one of those things where like just no one's gonna do it, right? Mm-hmm. So is it hard for you to imagine that we get the Levert game you're looking for anyway?
Mm-hmm.
If you're playing Levert, you're like, okay, I think he plays more than 30 minutes and or goes apeshit in the time that he is on the court. And a lot of people are going to play Levert Goga. Mm-hmm. So, Goga gets in foul trouble. Isaiah Jackson is out there. He doesn't take a lot of shots. Brissett gets time. I have no issue playing, Duarte once you get Levert back in for me projects for like 30 minutes and 25.5 fantasy points. So he is not exciting at 6'4", but what's going on?
Shazam's comment on your 4 stops. It's about 5 up.
Pornhub, X videos, Brazzers, and RedTube. Yeah, no, not 4 sites I'm subscribed to. 4 sites I've not paid for content. Provided content at. It's easy to get those confused. I'm not gonna lie, I have seen myself in a video on one of those sites.
God, you guys are too much for me sometimes, man. Doug goes, you knew those like the back of your hand. My right hand specifically.
You guys are
Shazam's back. I mean, this is what I came to expect from Shazam all last season. One of the more witty chat participants that we have. But then he wasn't. I mean, he was like all NFL at the beginning of this basketball season, and finally showed up. So now getting back into his groove, I think.
Got him back. How Shazam got his groove back?
Yeah, played his way into shape here.
All right. Well, we will keep an eye on this first game as it trudges along. I'm going to take a nice a dinner break there for 20 or 30 minutes. And then I will be back to guide us through the second and third game of the evening while my good friend Zach returns for the final game. Zach, if you would like to see us out, I led into the outro the day before yesterday. I threw Thomas a curveball, but he was there pretty quick.
Nice. Well, Thomas, a man of many talents, very sharp guy, and good with the nicknames, too. So I look forward to what nickname I will be dubbed with on tomorrow's stream. I'll be back. Then I think, Eddie, you and me back on Wednesday. On Wednesday, our typical Wednesday slate there. A big one. I think 11 games on Wednesday and then 2 on Thursday. So stop that, NBA.
Barrett, so they've been going A, B, A, B, A, B. They literally went like 12, 2, 13, 4, whatever the fuck yesterday was, 8, 4 tonight. And then we actually have a back-to-back, big chunks of back-to-backs coming up. It's like 10, 11. Oh, I didn't need that. Don't like that. Not great, Bob. That
is great. Also, we did not put anything on the board tonight, so shame on us. We'll make sure.
I gave you an option. I gave you Jonas plus or minus 45.
We could still do that, I guess.
Take your time. What do you
give me 46 and a half, and I'll do it.
46 and a half. I'll give you 46. I'll give you another point. I'll give you 46 as a bounce. I win 46 and a quarter.
All right. On the board.
One on the board. Give you a chance to close it in there.
Well, like Eddie said, he'll be around in chat here in 20, 30 minutes after his dinner. I will be back after that once I get back to my keyboard to deal. I guess we could tag team maybe that Jazz news as Eddie shakes his head at the chat. Appreciate all you guys for tuning in. Always fun to be with you. So for Eddie, I'm Zach. Shout out Thomas, the producer extraordinaire. And as always,
let's get these beans.